is up? Welcome into the DFS Thursday preview for college basketball NCAA tournament 2024. Really excited to get in here and get some DFS talk going. If you guys have any questions, as always, drop them in the chat as we go. I'm going to go game by game here. Probably try to be around, it'll probably be a little longer tonight, probably about 45 minutes. Of course, if you guys can't stay up, if you're on the East Coast, got work in the morning, feel free to listen to it on replay on your commute or whatever it may be. But definitely going to go game by game here. Going to touch on just top plays and some ideas, maybe in tournaments, of course, as well. Look at the slate as a whole to get started. If you've not joined us over in Discord, be sure to get your package. Links are in the description of the video. Here's the page that it'll take you to. You can choose individual sports, by the day, even week, month, year. You can do all sports, which gets all the included sports that you can see there: golf, NASCAR, MLB coming up very soon, college sports, of course, throughout the tournament. So be sure to jump over there. The college basketball package is, if you want to do a month and get it through the end of the NCAA tournament, $15 for the month. I'm going to switch on over to the sheet. Going to touch on some high-level, strategy of this slate being so spread out throughout the entire day. Starts at 12:15 Eastern, runs, the last game's not going to end until midnight Eastern. I think the last tip's probably scheduled for 10 or so, somewhere in there. And we have a little bit of news with, Kansas specifically later on in the slate. So there's a lot of, they're scheduled to tip at 10, the last one at 10:10 as of per DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Those will change a little bit. So it's going to be a very spread out day. You've got to stay on your feet on these slates just to be ready to make swaps. Even if there's no big news, just, if you get down early, depending on the contest type you're in, even if you're, feel like you're drawing stone dead, maybe you make a massive swap off some late chalk and get lucky and get in the cash. And that's where just grinding these type of things will really pay off for you long term, over a course of the season, over a course of this tournament. And same thing, if the lineup's crushing, depends on what your risk comfortability is there. But you could definitely make some swaps, later on to get off a little bit of chalk to, move from what looks like it's going to be a 10th or 15th in the GPP to possibly win it. On a high level, the slate, early on, you've got Mississippi State, Michigan State, very low total. I think it's the lowest. It and Tennessee, St. Peter's are the two lowest totals on the slate. This one's projected to be close, though. And we'll just jump in right here, get started. I've got a show copy of the All Players tab. So we're going to sort by each game as we go through. Hopefully you guys can see this. The reason I did the show copy was, for a couple reasons, so that I wasn't messing up the All Players tab if somebody's not watching the show, but also if you guys can't see the video, which I've got a couple times, I don't know if my internet's just horrible or what, but I'm going to zoom in a little bit as well. But if you guys can't see it, just pull up a copy of the sheet if you've got access, and you should be able to see this a little better. So I'll go in a little bit more. Mississippi State, Michigan State. Briefly, I'll talk about what I like as far as winner of the game and so on. I like Michigan State here. I do think the line is pretty solid in that it's going to be a very close back and forth, grinded out affair, which means I don't like much from a DFS perspective. If you look at how these guys rate out. THU Smith, 6.8K. If you've been playing all year, that's a low price tag. For him at Mississippi State, he kind of runs down low, 27% usage rate for this team. Matthews and Hubbard's got a 30% usage rate. He's really come on later in the year. I just don't like the pace to this one. And with 16 games on the slate, I don't think you need to go out of your way to target some of these plays. Certainly you can use some in tournaments, but I think there's just so much better plays on the slate. So not going to go here very much, if at all. THU would be my definitely my favorite just because of that price tag under 7K. Moving on, we have BYU and Duquesne, 9.5-point favorites for BYU. We've got, let me go ahead and sort here. All right. Hold on one second here. Do one thing on the sheet. All right. Get it shared back. Duquesne, BYU. I'm a little surprised by this. I'm a little surprised by the spread here. This is one that I'm really, the sheet's up. Everything is pinned to the channel. There's a lot of different sheets going on with betting. Got a lot of pins going, so might have to scroll a little bit, but definitely up. I'm intrigued by the 9.5 from a betting perspective here for Duquesne. We talked a little bit last night on the bracket breakdown show when we were talking about leverage, and BYU was one that it looked like, they have a lot of positive leverage to go a couple rounds here. I think they're definitely on upset watch though here. BYU's a shooting team who's going to chuck up a lot of threes. If we look at the matchups tab, I think they shoot the most threes per game on this entire slate at 30. That's 3-point allowed. Anyway, they run and gun. They're going to live and die by the three. So I think that just provides a lot of variance. From a DFS perspective, again, we've got a 142 total. BYU does have a 75 implied total, but, man, they spread things out quite a bit. I don't see a ton that I love in this game. Overall, you could get to a Traore or a Drame, for Duquesne or BYU. D. Michelli, I played him a little bit last week in their conference tournament. I think he would be my favorite, but there's just a lot of better value plays on the slate. Nekus is interesting for large field GPPs because of what he allows you to get. Allows you to jam in some of these top studs. 3,100 projects decently for that. Can you get around a 15 from him to really crush that price tag? Maybe. Day Grant is going to, he commands a lot of usage on this Duquesne squad, 25%. And then you look at a guy like Jimmy Clark, also at 28% for Duquesne. Those are going to be the guys who decide if they win this game. But from a DFS perspective, they're fully priced up in that mid 7K range. So, again, not a lot that I like in this BYU Duquesne game, which means I don't have a ton very early on here in the slate that I'm dying to go to. Creighton and Akron will be our next one. I think this is another interesting matchup here. Creighton is a 12-point favorite and a 141 total here. Quite a few good plays, we'll say, for tournaments. I think there's a lot of risk in this game, but I think there is some upside. If you've played all year, you've kind of seen very similar prices and projections for these Creighton guys all year long. Shireman, Alexander, Kalkbrenner, they're going to play max minutes if this game is somewhat close. 9,500 Shireman, I think he's fine for tournaments. All three of them are fine. The downside here is does Creighton get up, play a good early on in this game and get up 15 points and back these guys off into the low 30s or around 30 minutes. I think that's your risk here with these guys, but if this thing stays close, they're going to play, 38 to all 40 minutes, depending on, foul situations or so on and so forth. On the Akron side, Enrique Freeman projects very well at 8,400. I think he is in play. The downside to him is that, he's a down low post guy. That's where he's going to get most of his work done. He's going up against a very tough defender in Kalkbrenner. I think that provides a lot of risk when you're looking at a step up in class here to Creighton. Definitely some risk, but 8,400 is a cheaper, price. You're getting a price discount for that. He has a 27% usage rate. He'll get the job done for you. I think looking at him in like a cash game, I don't know that I feel so safe, about him. Tournaments, I think he's definitely got upside. If you're playing a Freeman, I don't hate the idea of, running it back on the other side with a Shireman, Alexander, or Kalkbrenner, just because if Freeman has a very good game, then you're going to see these guys push to max minutes almost for sure. Ali and Greg Tribble, you could see them definitely pay off these price tags. Ali's kind of the do-it-all guy. He's going to, get a lot of different ways. He's going to get there in different ways. He's not fully scoring reliant. So you could go there. Tribble, he's one of those, cheap plays that rates out pretty well. And if Freeman does get hurt inside against the matchup of Kalkbrenner, you could see Tribble get a little bit more looks on the outside. So definitely don't hate that idea there. All right. That's kind of all I've got. So definitely some risk in this game, more tournament plays, but good tournament plays, in my opinion here. We got Arizona, Long Beach State. This one is going to be one of the, more popular looks here on this slate. And it's because of the total. We've got a total of 164. Arizona has an implied total of 92. And even as 20-point underdogs, Long Beach State has an implied total of 72. I think both teams have a lot of good plays. Caleb Love, Omar, Ballo, Kashad Johnson, maybe for tournaments. I think all of these guys rate out very well. Love didn't play very well last week in the conference tournament. Ballo should eat in this matchup. Again, the downside to all these big favorites are, do they get up 25 points and they pull them just because, they're going to play again in 2 days. If they win this game, they're going to play Saturday. Do they rest them in this spot a little bit? So, I think with the pace that this game's going to play at, a 10-point lead is not safe. I mean, Arizona is going to have to play from way, way ahead for Love and Ballo to get reduced minutes from where I have them projected right here. Caleb Love, 7.6K. I don't know that we've seen a price that low since the start of the year. I think he rates out very well. He's in play in all formats. Ballo is also in play in all formats at 85. And that's just because of this matchup, I think. stepping down in class overall. I think that gives him a lot of upside here. He can get there in a multitude of ways. On the Long Beach State side, again, they have a lot of intriguing options as well. Both of the Traores, Lucina, and Abukar, 75 and 7K. I think both are very, very good options. I think Lucina has a little more risk to him here. You get a $500 discount, but I think the risk is that he's going to be the guy playing a little more down low with Ballo, which just brings in more foul risk, a little tougher matchup right there. Marcus Tassonis, I'm assuming is how you say that. Probably butchered that one. 6,300. I think he's a very good option. I kind of like him as maybe a last piece in. He's not a guy that I'm going to go out of my way necessarily to prioritize, but 6,300 with a 31% usage rate, I think he is a very, very good option. And I wouldn't be opposed if somebody is prioritizing pushing him in there. AJ George is kind of a secondary game stack option here. A lot of good plays, 164 total. You could stack this game up if you wanted to. If you wanted to play one of the Traores, Tashonis, and then play a Caleb Love or Omar Ballo, I think that's very live here. Because if Arizona gets pushed, more than likely both of those guys are going to smash these price tags, especially Caleb Love at 7,600. It's just a very, very cheap price for him. Moving on, we've got North Carolina and Wagner. We've seen Wagner already play a game here in the tournament. In the play-in, North Carolina, we're kind of going to get a taste of them, but a 133.5 total here, 25-point favorites for North Carolina. I think they win pretty handily here. I don't think we see full minutes out of an RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, Harrison Ingram, any of these guys. I think I'm crossing them off. If you think they get pushed, more than likely it's going to mean Melvin Council does a lot of that pushing. He's 6,800. We saw him just chuck massive amount of shots the other night. I think he's in play for tournaments, and I don't hate the idea that if you're playing a Council that you run back on the other side somebody else like a RJ or Harrison Ingram, somebody like that. As far as, who rates out the best value-wise, you've got Javier Ezekera. They just don't have bodies. Eric mentioned it in the chat earlier today. I think it's 7 available bodies, and a lot of those aren't guards. So Ezekera is going to be out there for tons of minutes, probably 35 plus, almost certainly. 4,300 for that amount of minutes is the definition of a great cash play. So he rates out very well for me, even at, he's similar to, I think it was Garwe Dual last night, who was going to play for Providence, who was going to play a lot of minutes. And just doesn't have the fantasy point per minute upside. But at 4,300, playing 35 to 38 minutes, somewhere in there, he's going to rate out as one of the best values on the slate no matter what. So really like him. Council, more GPP option, kind of off the North Carolina team for me, just because of the way I see this game playing out. Illinois, Morehead State. Illinois is an 11.5-point favorite. Got to have interest in this game. And stepping back before I go into this, stepping back to that last game, North Carolina does play a little better defense than they have in past years. That's why we see a lower total. Even though North Carolina still likes to run, we're seeing a lower total here, and Wagner plays at a very, very slow pace as well. So another reason that we might want to stay away from that game as a whole. Maybe pick the value piece in Ezekera. And nothing else on this big of a slate. So we got Morehead and Illinois, and what brought me back to that was Illinois does play absolutely no defense. I clicked the wrong one there. So what does that mean? I think that means that we have to have some interest in Morehead State here. 146.5 total. In this one, gives Morehead State a 67.5 implied total. Riley Minix and Jordan Lathon rate out very well. Minix is the max, 35-minute guy, 28 usage, gets it done, averaging about 10 rebounds per game. He's going to get it done in a lot of different ways for you. He's one of my top overall plays on the slate. I already have ranks up. Don't know that I'll show them here, but if you guys have access to the sheet on the position ranks tab, all my ranks are up. I'll tell you, Minix is very high. He's not truly a guard, even though DraftKings has him listed as a guard. So you're getting, a bigger guy that's going to get you rebound, double upside in this matchup at the guard position, if that helps anything. But 8,400, very fair price for him. Lathon's the more, value type guy at 5,800. I like him as a last man in. I don't know that I want multiple of these guys. I think I might stick with just one. There's some other good plays in that right around 6K range that if I land there, I'll probably not go to Lathon if I already have Minix. Eddie Ricks, if you need a GPP larger field value play to mix into your player pool, Eddie Ricks at 4,500 is an intriguing play. On the Illinois side, don't have a ton of interest just because, the 11.5 point spread, they're getting paced down a little bit by Morehead here. Terry Shannon, 9,300, fully priced. I think, he stepped his rates could be a little bit lower on the sheet than maybe what they are for the tournament. I'm going to have to watch that and adjust early on if they stay in here because he was just full on smoking slates over the Big Ten tournament. Massive usage, higher than he's had all year, and just carried this team with the help of Coleman Hawkins and Marcus Damask, who are both in the 7.4 and right around 8K range there. Hawkins would be probably my favorite just because of the cheaper price tag that you get, but I'll probably stay away as a whole from Illinois here. 11.5 point favorites. Just going to take the Morehead State matchup on the other side against this no defense Illinois team. Moving on, we have South Carolina and Oregon. And I'll at the end of the show I'll touch on bets. I'm finding it a little easier just to run through the DFS side, and then I'll touch on some bets that I've got, and I'll post some on the sheet as well on the betting sheet. But South Carolina and Oregon, this is an interesting one because we've seen the line flip a few points to now make Oregon the favorite here, and Oregon's the hot team coming off the Pac-12 run. South Carolina has been solid all year. Ultimately, they're a very slow-paced team. Both of these teams are. I see a very grinded-out, back-and-forth, one-possession game, similar to that first one with Mississippi State and Michigan State. 133.5 total. Cousinard and Dante are both GPP options. I just don't like the price tags really on this game as a whole with how I expect it to play. So I will likely stay away. BJ Mack, as far as the matchup type, I think he makes some sense here. I just can't pay these price tags. Colin Murray Boyles is one of the best freshmen in the country at 8K. Big upside, but a tough matchup going up against Dante. We'll see how he handles that in his first tournament appearance. Interesting matchup, maybe one that we look at more on the bet side, but probably one I'm staying away from a DFS perspective. Dayton and Nevada, another close spread, lowish total. Nevada's the 1 point favorite against Dayton here. Let me get everything up. So Deron Holmes is 9,600, one of the higher price guys, very deserved. deservedly so. I think he's definitely in play as hit with his 32% usage rate, getting it done in multiple aspects: blocks, rebounds, points. He's the main guy for Dayton. Everything's going to run through him. Nobody else on Dayton from a DFS perspective gives me a whole lot of interest. Keenan Blackshear on the other side, I think, is really the only guy there that I have interest in. 7K, he is the guy for them. Almost a 30% usage rate for Blackshear on the year. He's going to need to create if they are going to win this game. I think this one's very close. Early in the week, I leaned Dayton. I'm kind of in the air still on this one a little bit right now. I think, as the DFS side of this game, paying up for Holmes is a fine option. One of the better pay ups, and then Blackshear in tournaments if you're getting into larger field stuff. Texas, Colorado State, again, the other team that we saw win on Tuesday night, where they just absolutely waxed Virginia off the floor, was Colorado State. Texas is a 2-point favorite and a 144 total here. Definitely some interesting plays here. You've got – I'll get it started on the Texas side with Dylan DeSue. If you're playing cash games or some type of optimal building, I don't know that DeSue's your guy, but this price tag is very, very intriguing for him. He is one. Got my first ticket into the Mania, or used to be called the Mania, the King of the Bracket contest, which of course starts tomorrow. This is a guy that I could see. I can already envision me not playing because of the variance with fouls that he has. But man, does he have massive upside if he can stay on the floor. And this is going to be a close game, so they're going to need him. He projects very well at this price. I mean, he's probably an 8K player if he was more consistent with staying out of foul trouble. But this is one with in the king of the bracket that I can see me not playing because of that risk, and then my opponent just absolutely smashing me with taking the risk on DeSue. So I'm a little bit torn on this, but I think he is a very, very good tournament play at 7K. Isaiah Stevens on the other side. The rest of Texas is really not of interest to me. Colorado State, Isaiah Stevens has been the guy for me all year. Him and Clifford have rated out almost identically most of the year, and I've always just leaned over to Stevens. Same situation here. They're priced the same, project pretty similar. I'm just going to lean over to Stevens' big assist rate. I'm going to lean over to that little more peripheral. I mean, Clifford, gets there a little more on rebounds. Stevens on assists. So going to go with Stevens in that matchup, but, Clifford or between those two, but Clifford is in play in that range as well for tournaments if you are multi-entering a lot of lineups. So DeSue, great tournament play, a lot of variance. Don't forget that when he gets 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes. But if he can stay on the floor, stay out of foul trouble, he'll smash 7K, no problem. All right. Kentucky and Oakland, another interesting matchup with the speed that they're going to play at here with a 162 total. Kentucky is favored by 13.5. We've got quite a few intriguing plays on the Oakland side. I'll start on Kentucky before we go over. I think all these guys are tournament plays. They spread things out so much, even with an 88 almost implied total. I think Kentucky is tough to get to in optimal building. You can definitely go there in tournaments. Reed Shepherd, Antonio Reeves, Rob Dillingham, all those guys are, I think, appropriately priced. But any of them can get hot and go over these tags. All of them have big upside. It's just a matter of will they need it, first off, and second off, who does it. So it's kind of hard to choose on Kentucky, has been all year. On the Oakland side, they're getting a massive pace up, one of the biggest pace ups, and another team like Illinois who doesn't play defense in Kentucky. I think they're live to push Kentucky a little bit here. Trey Townsend, DQ Cole, both are fantastic plays. Both are going to be very popular, I think. DQ Cole even more so. We're watching a little bit of news with Isaiah Jones and Rocket Watts. I think both come back here, but maybe don't play full-on minutes. I think DQ Cole is still pretty safe there, rates out very well at under 30 minutes, and he has upside for even more if they're more limited than we think. Jack Golke and Blake Lampin had solid weeks last week in the conference tournament. We played them. I think they were on a couple of slates. I think you can go there in tournaments in that 5K range as pivots to like a DQ Cole. If you get later in the day and you've got Cole, let's see, this game tips at what time? 7:15. So if you get to that, through the first two windows of the early games and you need a pivot, you're behind or something, and you've got DQ Cole, I don't hate the idea of shifting up to a Golke or Lampin and taking a little bit more risk. But all four of those guys are in play. DQ Cole and Townsend, some of the top plays on the slate from a DFS perspective. Gonzaga and McNeese, 6.5-point favorite for Gonzaga, 149.5 total. Trendy upset pick here. I don't think I'll be there. I think I'll be more on the Gonzaga side, maybe even on a betting perspective and lay the points. I don't know that I want to, but at least from a bracket perspective, I think I'll be more so on Gonzaga. Anton Watson is really the only guy I have interest in here. I think the style of McNeese is not something I would want to target Graham Ike, the post-up guy down low, Ben Gregg, either really. I think that's what McNeese tries to take away. Want the little bit more versatile Anton Watson if I'm going to go to anybody there. On the McNeese side, you've got three serviceable plays: Christian Shoemate, Shadada Wells up top, and then CJ Felder down low, the transfer. 4,100, fair price for him. I think he's a solid value play, kind of in that second tier behind, not one of the top two, we'll say, value plays under 5K, but definitely in the top 5 or 6. So I think he's in play for, pivots and tournaments there because they do get a very slight, pace bump. Solid total here. McNeese has got a 71.5 implied total. So definitely have some interest in this game. Watson and Felder being my favorite. Iowa State, South Dakota State, 16.5 or 16-point favorites for Iowa State. Low total, 135.5. Let's see here. Iowa State, I think it's just the two guards. It kind of has been just the two guards for me for most of the year. Keshawn Gilbert and Tamin Lipsey. I always lean Lipsey. Gilbert it's kind of shifted to where Gilbert is projecting a little bit better. But I always like the peripheral upside of Tamin Lipsey in tournaments. I don't think I can pay for either of them in like a cash game. William Kyle, 5,700 is a fair price there for South Dakota State. But this is not an easy matchup. I mean, we just seen this team. I know it was without Juwan Roberts, but we just seen this team smash in the Big 12 tournament and smash Houston. So I don't think I will – none of this game is, cash game viable, I don't think. But Kyle, Gilbert, Lipsey, those three are in play for tournaments. Tennessee and St. Peter's. Tennessee is a 21.5-point favorite in the lowest total on the slate. This is a team that I have a ton of interest in, not today, but in bracket perspective, betting perspective, Tennessee is one of my favorite teams in the tournament. And what lays behind that is Dalton Connect. And what we've seen in previous years is great defensively or great defense for Tennessee, and they just didn't have anybody who could go get points when they needed them. Now they've got that. They've got Dalton Connect to go with a Zakai Ziegler, Josiah Jordan-James, Jonas Idu down low. I think this is a team built to make a strong run. Here, I don't think you need to go to any of these. Idu would be my favorite at 7,800 if you were going to Tennessee. But I think I'll stay away, just expecting slightly less minutes for all these guys with the blowout, which that's projected. St. Peter's, I think, has some interesting plays. Corey Washington is a guy I was looking at just before we came on. I'm interested to know. I hate playing guys against Tennessee. Low total, pace downs. Well, not pace downs, but just really good defense. They're actually getting a pace up. St. Peter's is. Where I struggle is just the defense that Tennessee's going to play. I hate playing guys against them because of how much they clamp on people sometimes. I wanted to see how Washington, but these price tags is what brings these guys into play. Washington 6,100. This guy's got almost a 30% usage rate. Latrell Reed, 5K. Both are very good point per dollar projected plays. It just all comes down to where you stand on the Tennessee defense. Definitely not playing two of these guys. So's in play if you need another pivot in that 4K range. Definitely not playing both. Washington hasn't played a lot of, top competition in his college 2 years with St. Peter's. Looks like so last year they went up against Seton Hall and Maryland were the only two, step ups from where they're at really. In the Maryland game, he had 10 points. 10 points, 9 boards in that one in only 19 minutes, so played well. In the Seton Hall game, and this is last year again, so completely different team and role. Didn't play but 14 minutes. This year, he was out for the Rutgers game, which was a step up in competition, and he played the first game of the year against Seton Hall, where he played 28 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds, a block and 2 steals. So, not the greatest game. How does he play here? He's had some absolute smash games. There's, throughout the conference since he came back from injury, he has smoked some slates here. And I think he's a solid cash play just because of the price tag. But I think he's an interesting look to maybe go away from in tournaments. So this team's interesting to me. I would only play one and maybe 0 in tournaments, but Washington rates out really well. He'll be popular, but 6,100 is just not the right price tag. Texas Tech and NC State, 3 games left. We have NC State, who made the just magical run to the ACC championship. Of course, weren't going to get in the tournament unless they won it, and they did. We've got DJ Horn and Mohamed Diarra on that side who rate out solid in the 6K range. I think Diarra's matchup is a little better than you might expect. But DJ Horn, 6,200 is just not the right price tag for him either. He was another one of those guys I mentioned in the right around that 6K price range. I think he's in play in all formats. Pop Isaacs is a GPP option. on the other side, for Texas Tech, they're going to need him if they're going to win this game, and they are favored by 5 here with a 75 implied total. So I think you can definitely take a look at Pop and GPPs, but Horn would be the main and probably only cash play or optimal building play in this game. DJ Burns played great last week, but I don't think I've played him all year. 6K, don't really want to start doing it here. I think they lose outright. I mean, they're favored to lose, but I think they lose here, and the magical run kind of stops. Kansas and Samford, we're going to need to spend a little bit of time on this one. The last game is not of a ton of interest, but Kansas, of course, I'll go team by team here. We got the news that Kevin McCullough is out for the tournament. That leaves an already reeling Kansas team now. We've seen this line drop almost 2 points down to 7 and a 154 total, 80.5 implied for Kansas. Leaves us with Hunter Dickinson at 9,400, who rates out as one of the top pay-up options on the slate. Johnny Furpey gets a bump as well in games that McCullough has missed. I think you can definitely go to him in tournaments, but Dickinson is one of the top 2 probably pay-up options on this entire slate. He's going to command a ton of usage without McCullough in there, who had a 28% usage rate himself. I think we just see Kansas try to lean on Dickinson to get through this game. I don't think they do. I think Samford beats them outright. That's probably going to be one of my bets. Even, I wanted the 8.5, but I'll probably do what I've done in the past, which is, and this is a pace up for Kansas with Samford. Samford loves to run. But what I've done in the past is split the bet, half a unit on the spread at 7, half a unit on the money line. And take advantage of it that way. That's probably what I'll do here. KJ Adams, DeJuan Harris, I've not played them all. I have played Harris a little bit. I don't think I'll go there. This is mostly Dickinson or Furpey for GPP. Dickinson is one of the top overalls on the slate. Samford, get over to them. A lot of good options here. They read out very well. Akor is going to go up against Dickinson down in the post. That could cause some foul trouble. This guy, let me pull up him on KenPom here. His minutes, I've got him docked a little bit because of that. So Akor played 32 minutes in their last 2 close conference tournament games, scoring 25 points and 28 points in those 2 games. So the minutes that I have for him right now at 24 already docks him, and then 5,800 is just the worst price tag of anybody on the slate. He's cash games. He's the first guy in. I don't care if he has foul trouble risk. I'm already docking him 5 to 10 minutes in this spot, and he still rates out at almost 5x. I think you just have to go at him here. Rylan Jones, another top play on the slate, rates out very well. Just another dumb price, 4,400. Jermaine Marshall, I think he's very in play. And then Staten McRae and Jaden Campbell both rate out decently as well for tournaments. If you look at this team, the question becomes, how many do you want to play, how many do you want to play of this Samford team? Core, like I said, is a lock for me in cash games. Probably Rylan as well. Oops. Hit something on the share screen. Get back there and get to Samford. Rylan and Core are both going to probably make my cash lineup. I think you just pretty much have to with the price tags. 58 and 44 are just completely wrong. And in a game that I think they win outright, definitely going to have both of them. Tournaments, do you just play one? Can you play three? I don't love playing three because of the size of the slate. So I think with them, I would max two. A core, and maybe Marshall if you want to pivot off of Jones. This is one of those that if you're behind, you can get off of, some of these plays and maybe do that as a pivot from Jones to Marshall or Jones to Stanton McRae late in the slate and try to play catch up if you need to. But this game as a whole, Dickinson, Core, Rylan Jones are some of the top plays of the slate. Jermaine Marshall, again, rates out very well too at 47. Just don't want really myself play three of them. So tons of good plays in that one. Washington State and Drake, another one of those close spreads, lowish totals to close out the slate. Drake is, of course, led by Tucker DeVries, who is going to have not much ownership at all, rates out decent, but he's 9,700, which is why he's not going to have ownership. He could smash this slate. I think he's in play for larger field tournaments. Washington State has some interesting plays, too, for tournaments. This game's kind of a tournament not going to be anybody in a cash game here. But Jalen Wells, Isaac Jones, Miles Rice, all in that similar 6 and 7K range. I think all those rate out decently if you want to take a shot on one. Hard to decipher which one. Has been all year for me, at least. I've always leaned to Rice, and it ends up being Jones down low or Wells, coming forward and getting some things done. But I think you could take a shot on one of those. Again, like DeVries on the other side in tournaments at 97, getting no ownership probably. Kamani Hosano, probably butchered that. 41, he's another one of those pivots in that 4K range I think you can go to. Got a bump in minutes in the last game or two. So kind of like him as a pivot there if you need one late to get off the board, go to a guy like him at 41. Maybe off of one of the cheap Samford guys if you really need one of those pivots. So that'll do it for the DFS portion. Sorry. Glad to hear you like Tennessee. That's who I went with in my main bracket. Yep. They were my initial gut right as the bracket came out, for sure. All right, from a betting perspective, I'm going to skim through tomorrow again and talk through what I'm thinking. And then I will get all of the bets posted on the sheet here for tomorrow down at the bottom of that sheet. And I'll probably post them in chat, or at least post that I've put up the bets on the sheet on the 2024 NCAA tournament betting sheet that I've got pinned to the channel in Discord as well. Michigan State's going to be the first one at -1 is going to be my first bet there. I'm going to take Duquesne plus 9.5. I might sprinkle some on that money line. Let me see what that number is on the money line. I know there's a ton of boosts, especially on like DK. Take advantage of those. I'm looking at one right now. There's a 64% boost. No sweat upset bet. Looks like bet a double digit C, get a bonus bet back if it loses. Utilize all these tomorrow, and also don't forget, if you're in a state, or it might allow all states since it's free, but the free pools that you can do on DK for brackets, throw one in there. Of course, isn't going to hurt, and they're pretty good prize pools for free brackets. So looking at Michigan State in game 1, Duquesne in game 2 at 9.5 plus 360 money line. I'll probably sprinkle half and half there on that one. Going forward, kind of like that Long Beach plus 20. I never liked betting the big dogs, but that one has my eye with 20 points. Don't think I'm pulling the trigger right now. Morehead State's an interesting one. Man, that Oregon one, that was one I'm still am on the fence from a bracket perspective there. We looked at Oregon last night, had a lot of, based on the odds that they have a lot of positive leverage. Against South Carolina and even beyond, just with where their sportsbook odds set right now. Trying to skim through some of these money lines to see what they are. Let's see here. All right. Don't think I'm going to touch any of these toss-ups here. Man, Colorado State, I kind of like that matchup for them. If they can get DeSue in foul trouble, I don't hate that one. Take the money line there or the +2. Dayton and Nevada is kind of a toss-up to me. I like the Oakland plus the points, 13.5. I think they can push Kentucky a little bit. Mention that one. I'll be on that one at 13.5. I don't know that I'll sprinkle the money line there. In the past, I have always sprinkled the money line. I might do a quarter, instead of doing half and half, do 3/4 unit on the spread, or maybe a full unit on the spread and a quarter or a half unit as well on the money line, because I do like the Oakland there. I'm going to stay away from Gonzaga, McNeese, trendy upset pick, but also don't want to lay the 6.5. Tennessee, don't want to touch any of this stuff. I like Texas Tech there, but don't want to lay 5. And then I already mentioned I'm going to do the Samford +7 and money line there, which is +230. Drake, I think that's it for me. So, quick recap on the bets. Could end up going with, could add a couple more later on, but where I'm at right now is all right. Run back through Michigan State -1. I'm giving you the current odds on DK, not necessarily if they've moved from the sheet. I don't think they have. I just done them right before the show. But Michigan State -1, Duquesne +9.5 and half on the spread, half on the +360 money line. Colorado State +2, Oakland +13.5, and a little bit on the money line as well at +675. And then Samford, similar deal there, +7 and +230 on the money line. So that's where I'm at. I'll get all those posted to the betting sheet and we will see if we can knock some of those out into tomorrow. So good luck to everybody. Hope this helped. Give me a little feedback in the comments if you liked it, like the format, want to switch it up, if you want to see it continue through the weekend and through the rest of this tournament. Definitely want to see what the interest level is before I grind these out every night. Went up to right around an hour, which is fine. Good luck to everybody. Let's have a great Thursday. Good luck in your brackets and DFS.